No, hey, it's in the prisons of Judge Hobby.
What does do?
Sir,
Hold your tongue. Some is a stock rustler.
Alleged.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, I never...
Hold your tongue. He's caught driving Russell beef.
Good enough, hang him.
Gotta taste better than people.
First time.
Imagine you go to bed and wake up in a completely different place. As you open your eyes, you're greeted by the scent of earth in the air, and you listen intently and hear the mooing of cattle and the distinct voices of people speaking English with a very distinct accent. You also discover that you live in a small town surrounded by vast landscapes. Well, my friend, you might just be in the Wild West. So how did you get here? Well, the Old West, also known as the American frontier, began because of massive immigrations from the European explorers. European settlers initially settled around the eastern border of America, but gradually started pushing eastward. So why did they do this? Well, religion, freedom, and a need to stay away from urban areas, and people also wanted land. This expansion was largely increased by the purchase of the France territory and blah blah blah, but you don't want to hear all this. You want to know what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. Now that you settled and accepted your reality, you need to find a way to support yourself and maybe your family. It's not like you're going to be gaming and eating Doritos all day. In fact, you should have started working a long time ago. Many people usually started working at the age of 5, so it's time to get up and stop being lazy. Now, in the Old West, you got a lot of things you can be. But growing up poor, your chances of growing up to become a millionaire are slim. So here are the options. The railroad workers of the Old West spent most of their time making railroads. This was backbreaking work, and was more backbreaking work when you found out the American railroad expansion was happening, and labor demand increased dramatically. Since most people didn't want to do that kind of work, like who would want to be outside in the sun all day for 12 hours sitting up rail? And it was really depressing because you were paid $1 to $2 per day.
Pay rent, pay Marbell.
Which in today's currency, accounting for inflation, is about 29 to 35 US dollars per day. And as a reminder, that's only working an average of 12 hours daily.
Tired, very tired.
A lot of people didn't like this job, so there was actually a labor shortage, and this brought in immigrants from other countries to fill in the demand. So being a railroad worker is out of the question. How about becoming a miner? Miners had the same treatment as railroad workers. It was backbreaking work, and many people were not interested in this job. This was because many of them had to live in harsh climates, which were often isolated by other towns. But after the discovery of precious minerals like gold, silver, coal, in places like California, this occupation became desirable. And depending on where the riches are, miners would set up these places as settlements. These settlements are also known as boomtowns. Now let's move on to something more interesting, like religious workers. If you don't want to do all that hard work and you find yourself a man of faith, you could try becoming a religious worker. These did not entail all physical stress, but it could sometimes get dangerous, like if you were a missionary, was your duty to convert people who don't know about Christ to Christianity. And in the land of America, that often meant Native Americans. In fact, there were multiple missionaries who lost their lives trying to spread the word of God. One man was Marcus Whitman, who was determined to bring Christianity to a Native American tribe named the Cayuse tribe in present-day Washington in the 1830s. In 1847, tensions escalated when the Cayuse tribe, the Native American tribe living in that area, blamed Whitman for a measles outbreak. This caused a group of Cayuse warriors to attack the settlers and killing Marcus and his wife and other people. So, you don't want to become a missionary. How about becoming a regular preacher or nun? Well, it's not as dangerous as the other occupations I've mentioned, but it still has its downsides. Like many preachers had to travel extensively to reach isolated places just to preach. There were other religions which if you were a preacher, would have to compete with. I mean, there was Mormonism and other denominations of Christianity like Methodist and Baptist. After settling in a place, all you have to do is just lead religious congregations and provide spiritual guidance and run sermons. Now, if that doesn't interest you, there's one last one which you might like. You could become a religious healer. Life was chill for these people. All they did was practice healing and spiritual rituals. In this occupation, you could see yourself being a Native American healer, like a medicine man or a shaman. If you were to be a salon worker, which is just about the most comfortable job there is out there in the wild, all you had to do was provide entertainment and refreshments for people. And in this category of jobs, you could be a bartender where you serve liquor, or a musician, if you know how to play instruments, or a security guard, because alcohol and social interactions don't mix well. When it comes to agriculture, you have a couple of options. Most common professions were to become a rancher, a cowboy, or a butcher. Since all the professions except the cowboys are boring, I'm going to talk about the cowboys. Cowboys were the gunslinging, lawless criminals we know them as in all the Hollywood movies we see now. Cowboys were horsemen and cattle herders. As a cowboy, you were expected to take care of the herd and protect it against wild animals who wanted to eat your cattle without paying. Like all the other jobs, you worked long hours and you weren't sure of your financial security. But at least you could drip out in this an iconic gear, which looks stylish today. Now we moving on to the guides and hunters. In this category, we have the stagecoach and the hunters. Stagecoach made a living guiding people from town to town. If you're a stagecoach, you would have to be able to navigate through different terrains. It would also be your duty to avoid bandits or Native American tribes who would prefer you dead or have your stuff. You also might want to have another profession because due to the development of railways, which offered faster and comfortable transportation, demand for your job starts to decline over time. Now, if you're a hunter, it was your job to hunt and sell food. While this was a good profession, you got to hold guns, set up traps and snares. It was really devastating for the wildlife, depending on what timeline you lived in. Due to this, hunting species such as bison and beavers almost made them extinct. Now, moving on to a very interesting one, the last one. Let's say you're all out of options. You could commit yourself to a life of crime. This was majorly profitable for bandits like Jesse James and Butch Cassidy, who made a fortune, but with high risk comes high reward. You often found yourself looking over your shoulders, and pair that with the fact that the death sentence wasn't a thing people considered inhumane during those times. So as an outlaw or bandit, you would have to be on the lookout for bounty hunters, whether to make sure you didn't get an ounce of freedom. There were also sheriffs that protected the town from crimes and oversaw Jail County. Judges and lawyers also existed during this time as settlements grew. Well, that's all for the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There are also more videos coming out. Peace.